Soft Consolation, set up your TDM so it looks good for challengers and champs. This is number 8 of the TD manual, the yellow section, and I'll be going right down the timeline. So starting with number 1, all draws should be set up for single elimination under event information. Single elimination, we look good. Yep, everything's under single elimination. Number 2, all draws should be set up for buys bottom up. You can double check this by clicking edit event, draw information, and you will see buys bottom up right there. Just double click it. I'm in a seeding event, so it doesn't really matter, but and we'll get to that in a second. But just make sure all your draws are buys bottom up. You will then need to determine how many draws of each age group you'll have and figure out how many total seeds you'll need for those draws. So we're going to do 14s here. You can see I have 34 players. That means I will have 2 draws. For each of those, there will be 4 seeds per draw. And a lot of this information about seeds per draw can be found on the timeline of the TD manual for your champ or challenger. The division above it, boys 12s, has 26 players. That also will just have 8 total seeds. So 8 seeds in that one draw. The 34 kids in boys 14s will have 8 total seeds, 4 kids seeded in each draw. So number 4 on the TD manual sheet, seed and split your events. We first need to determine how many draws you will have. So for boys 14s, we'll have 2. I will then need to auto seed. So to auto seed, I click the button auto seed. I will then select the standing list, search, and I will select the most recent challenger standing list. Now this is the tournament I am currently in is a 2014 ZAT test tournament, so the auto seed functions will not work. So let's assume I auto seeded, and let's see if it gave me. It'll then ask you how many players you want to seed. You'll select 8, and let's see if it works for me. All right, I got 8 players that are seeded in my 14s singles. Very good. So you will then create a new event called Seeds. Right beneath it, you can see my event called Seeds. I will then move all the seeds into this event. So let's see if I can do this successfully. I will use the left click on my mouse, highlight everybody, grab the dots, move them into the seeds. Should tell me they've been moved. Okay. Very nicely. So I then have my seeds. So one age group at a time. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you can do this one age group at a time. I will then split into the appropriate number of draws. So for 14s, I will click split event because I need 2 draws for this. Choose how many draws you want, 2. You may not, sorry. And I will want to make sure the box is checked, split players across events, which it is. I will then click OK. It says it's been split. Let's see if it did. Oh, very nicely. A and a B. Perfect. So I will then need to wave my seeds and move them back into each one of the events. So starting at your number 1 seed in your seeds draw, split players into the new draws in the following sequence. And on your manual it says A, B, C, C, B, A. A, B, C, C, B, A. Repeat following numerical order. If you have 4 draws, it would be A, B, C, D, D, C, B, A. So I'm essentially waving them. So I have 2 draws, so it's going to be A, B, B, A, A, B, B, A. So the number 1 seed will go into my A draw. The 2 and 3 seeds will go into my B draw. Okay. The 4 and 5 seeds will go into my A draw. The 6 and 7 seeds will go into my B draw. Okay. And then the 8th seed will go into my A draw. Very good. So then it should look something like this. They have 1, 4, 5, and 8 seeds are in there. Now, you will need to renumber these seeds so they are 1, 2, 3, 4. An easy way to do this is to click auto seed. Select the same list you just used, that standing list. Perfect. right there, and it will automatically seed them. However, again, I'm in a 2014 tournament, so I will adjust these 1, 2, 3, 4, because auto seeding will not work in this 2014 test tournament. So I have my A all set. I'll do the same here, just auto seed. Again, that's my 1 seed. That's my 2 seed. That's my 3 seed, and this is my 4. Now, an important step that we did not go over real quick is if you have someone to manually seed on your seeds. Now, to determine this, you will look at your entrant report, and you will see if Reed, Sylvia, or I have marked anybody who has recently requalified or aged up from champs or supers, depending if it's a champ, who needs to be seeded in this tournament. Now, it'll say seed 5 through 8. So if it says seeds 5 through 8, and I had 8 seeds like I just did down here before I did this step, I will insert that player into the 5 slot, and I will move the number 9 player who was not seeded. I will then unseed him and move him back into the events. Okay, so the kid who was originally the 8 seed will be kicked out. He will no longer be seeded. I will put a manual seed in. This will be easier done before you move all your seeds into the seeds division. If you just auto seed off the top 8, then determine if you have to manually seed by selecting and putting that player as a number 5 seed and moving everybody else down 1, then eliminating the 9 seed. So that would mean you still have 8 players you would move from the Boys 14 singles event, the original singles event, into the seed slot before you split the event. Okay. So we got our manual seeds in and we got our seeds. Those are good. Remember, if it was just boys 12s and you don't, like if it was boys 12s and you have 26 and you don't need to split your event, you just auto seed in that event and you're good to go. Moving on, here we go. So now we will need to create our consolation draws. So we can start with, we'll just do 12s here. 12s will be easier. So in a real tournament, we'd probably name this red. We'd probably name this one blue. But let's pretend we're just doing 12s here. So we're going to make our 12s consolation draw. To do this, I will need to split the event, just like we did earlier. So I'll split event. I want to uncheck the split players across events portion. And then I will click OK. So it says it's been split. I will then edit the name of the split draws, and you can see here, I'm going to name the B my consolation. And I will name A my main draw. But to do this, I just delete the A. Very nice. Okay. So again, just focusing on boys 12s right now. I will now need to copy all the players from the main draw to the consolation. Now, copying is a little tricky to remove. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to highlight everybody. Make sure I get that first kid. Highlight everybody in your tournament. I will press the Shift key. I will then click on this icon here and drag everybody to consolation. I let go of my mouse first, then the Shift key, and it should tell me 26 players have been copied to the event. If it says you have moved 26 players to the event, you will then need to work on moving them back and trying to recopy those players over. All right, so I have 26 in my consolation. Very nice. The next step, decrease players to half the size of the main draw. So I need to go half size, so that means I will make this into a 16. So I need to grab 10 players. I will grab all my seeds, because this helps also eliminate the seeded numbers. I will drag them over to the alternates, and that will leave me 16 players in this consolation. Again, I'm trying to trick TDM into thinking I'm making a 16 draw consolation draw here, so I have to lower it to 16 players. I will now create my blank draw. So I'm going to choose the consolation event I want to make. I'm in there. I will then go to draws, click make unmake options, and then I will click Make Blank Draw. Click OK. I need to make sure that my constellation draw is the correct size. So that means 16. Let's make sure. Very nice. It's a round of 16 draw. Perfect. So I then need to move my players back into Constellation from the alternate list. So to do this, I go back to Events. Okay. I'm going to drag all of these alternate players, all of them back over. You'll notice there are no seeds here. That is what we want. Perfect. So now I have 26 players back in. They're in each draw, but they're just not appearing on the blank draw. So, well, we haven't actually made the main draws yet. So they're not appearing there either. So now we're going to make the main draws. So once I've made all the constellation draws, so I've done this for all the other divisions. I've done it for boys 14's red, boys 14's blue. Again, just to make this clear, we can rename this event if we wanted. But that's red, that's blue. Each of these will have a constellation. So you have boys 14's red constellation, boys 14's blue constellation. So there'll be actually 4 draws of boys 14's. Also, once you finish with your seeds, you can delete this event. You don't need this anymore. Just to clear up the amount of events we have going in here. All right, so again, I'm still focused on 12s. Once I've made all my constellation draws, all the blank ones, I will then go to the Draws tab, click Make Unmake Options, and I will make all singles draws. Now, it is important that you've done all the constellations beforehand, and you're ready to move on to this step for each age division. I'll click OK. Now, a question comes up. Existing draws of this type have been found. Would you like to remake the existing draws? You must hit Cancel for no. Let's make sure it went through again. Click OK. Cancel. See if it worked here. I don't think it did. Let's try it again. Make all singles draws. Okay. Cancel for no. I'm clicking cancel. Yes, there it is. Request complete. That means it did go through. I'll click OK. And all my main draws are now created. And we're just focused on boys 12s here because I didn't do the others yet. When you do this, actually, you will need to have 12s, 14s, 16s, 18s all done already because you're making all draws. So make sure you've created your blank constellation draws for every division before you move on to this step. So the last step of setting this up correctly, I will then go to my constellation draws and put buys in the correct lines of each constellation draw. So to figure out where the buys go, you can look in that section 8. You have a 16-player draw that shows you exactly where each player of first off constellation will go in the constellation. Now, I have to determine my amount of losers. So let's see how many amounts of losers I have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. I even count the kids that got buys because they could lose and go into consolation. So I have 16 here. Where it wouldn't be 16 is say if Zach Pitney decided to withdraw and Kyle Sander advanced, then there would only be 15 possible losers because only one kid can lose between Adrian and Kyle. So let's say there are only 15 and I need to put a buy into my constellation. The 16th slot of the first off constellation is this line right here, number 4. I would assign the player to a buy spot because the 15th player that loses would go into line 3 and would automatically get that buy. These buys are crucial. It helps your site directors put players in the constellation draw correctly. It helps you not have to schedule other matches that don't need to be scheduled. And you need to do this for all your draws so you won't have to schedule any matches that have no chance of happening. Just makes it easier on you. It allows you to not have as many courts, and you're doing it correctly. We will check for this when we check on the draws for the draw review. But for this draw, remember there's 16 spots, so this spot actually wouldn't be here. We're going to change it back to be determined, but because we do have 16 possible losers in our main draw. Okay, so that is how you schedule and set up your consolation draws. Well, not schedule, but that's how you set up your consolation draws. First off style for your challenger or champ. The next portion, the next video, will go into scheduling, using the Garmin system, making sure all the matches have the proper times in the next video. If you have questions, please email me or call me. My number is 512-443-1334, extension 209, or email me at mwalter@texas.usta.com.